All right, thank you so much, guys, for watching another episode and clicking on today. Today we're here with Louis, who is an entrepreneur based in Montreal, Canada, who has started his own AI makeup app, and that has blown up and is making around 100K a month now. So, Louis, being a young entrepreneur and being kind of at the stage you're at, I want to go right back to the start. And if you kind of look at your earliest years in childhood, what will you say were key things that happened from either a family point of view or a school point of view which shaped you into the person you are today?
Yeah, so when I was young, my parents never gave me money. So I always had to work for my money, understand the money aspect of it. And at one point, I didn't had any money, and that really hit me like deep down. I was like, okay, I don't have any money, and money is kind of how you buy things in this world, the capitalist world. And this really hit me deep, and I was like, okay, I will now have an independent view. So let me just work on something, make money by myself without the employee route. So this really just make me pushed me into like, let's make money by myself, and that pushed me to sell things online and build skills to uh, push myself.
When you had that realization about money being super important to you and kind of doing that, how old were you?
I was maybe 15 or 16, when
Okay.
when you start to kind of try to
Yeah.
buy stuff by your own and you see that you don't have any money.
Yeah. And you started to realize, and was that the a point for you where you realized like you've got to go out and make your own money? Did you initially go into a job or did you just immediately start doing things which were really entrepreneurial?
Yeah, so I had a job I was working with at my dad's business, but I really didn't like it. So I was
Mm.
really more looking to how can I make more money because minimum salaries won't get you anything. You spend the whole day and you make $100. So I was like, there's surely another way to make money. And I went to I went to SneakerCon, which is like a conference for sneakers.
Yeah.
And at that place, I really understood that people are selling stuff that they bought for less. And that really made me realize that, like, okay, I can do the same thing as them because it looks easy. And at SneakerCon, I was just going to booth, buy stuff, and then going to people and sell it for higher. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's crazy how I can just at the same place buy and sell and make a profit. And that
Yeah.
really just pushed me to like, okay, I need to sell things online.
Okay. I mean, that's super interesting because the almost age-old business thing of buy low, sell high. Like that's all you were really doing, but you kind of cottoned on to the fact that you could do that in the same room, even though everyone had access to those same bits. Um, so when you were growing up, and obviously you're from Canada, what would you say the entrepreneurial market is like in Canada? The reason I ask that is it's very different from the UK. Obviously, Canada being close to the US, in the UK, there's a very different mindset about entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs. I think the UK sometimes is looked on quite negatively as well. So I'd like to hear your experience of what it was like to grow up in Canada and what you felt like if that helped you become an entrepreneur later down in life.
Yeah, so in Montreal, in Quebec, it's not the best mindset for entrepreneur. So we kind of the society doesn't really like people making money. So
Yeah.
it's like in the US, you have the American dream. People are pushing people to kind of go into the entrepreneurial mindset and make businesses, make money, and people are happy. But here in Quebec, in Montreal, it's the opposite. When people are making money, they're getting point at like, oh, you shouldn't make money, you should be employee. It's like very weird. But so for me, I didn't had like that. People were not really happy that I was making a bunch of money, and still today as well. And it kind of, for me, it pushes me because I'm like, I found a route that people don't understand, and it makes more money than the employee route. So, but the outside aspect is really negative. Like people don't really
Yeah.
push people to be entrepreneurs.
Mhm. And do you think there is a reason why that is in Canada? Because obviously, I think that's a bit of similar to the UK. I think there's a lot of people. I think in the UK, it's very much like people say like, "Oh yeah, entrepreneurialism is good," and we want business owners and stuff. Um, but there's not a very risk-taking mentality. So as soon as you go say you're going to start your own business, everyone tells you to be careful, and everyone tells you, "Oh, are you sure you want to do that?" Like you're giving up the safety and security of the job. Are there similar things in Canada that you say, like, you know, reasons behind why people potentially think that way?
Yeah, so in Quebec mostly, people are mostly like sheep, so they mostly just follow the system, follow the rules, follow what the path that is supposed to be taken. And when someone does not, it's really just they want to bring people back on that route of like, get a safe job, get a house, children, like normal life. And for me, it's just not what I want. It's really just I want the opposite. I want to make money and have freedom of financial and time and location. And yeah, people here are just they don't like people getting rich because if they're rich, they're better than the poor. And most people here are like the average makes maybe 50K a year in Canadian dollar, which is like 32K pound, which
Yeah,
is not a lot. And
yeah,
so they don't like when people makes money. I'm not sure why exactly, but they just don't like that. Yeah.
interesting. Um, and so for you then, when did you start pushing against those conventional ideas?
When I started making money online, I was really just like, okay, there's something that I can do that doesn't like I don't count my hours, and then I can do more money per hour if I do count my hours, which is really amazing. And I just started doing that, and then really pushes me to like, okay, there's a way to make money, which is not the traditional way, and I can make way more than if
Yeah,
I go on have a minimum salary job and just work like every weekend, like every other like my friends were doing, and I just felt like it was not the right way, and that internet money is like the way to actually make money when you're young. So I just
yeah,
kind of focused on that and just went all in, put all my savings on buying stuff, set it for more, and I
yeah.
just made a bunch of money with that.
So what was the first business that you started then, or the first idea that you had to start making that money and kind of start your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so I like just started an Instagram, which is like it was called Montreal Plugs, which I was just selling Nikes, Yeezys, Jordans, like the limited edition ones to people that couldn't find them online because they were sold out. So
Yeah.
I just kind of it's supply and demand. So I just
Mm.
would go on Foot Locker, buy the shoes, and then post it on Instagram, and then people outside of Montreal which they don't have access to um, going to Foot Locker, they would just buy it from me for
Yeah.
hire, and I would make a profit. And I would just do that like every week, doing like a huge sale, and people would just come in, buy, and then I would just make a bunch of money, ship stuff. So I understand like the process of buying, sales as well.
Yeah.
You have to sell the thing to someone, so you have to have sales kind of tactic. And it was just learning, and then that was my first business, which I
Mm.
had for like 4 years. During that as well, I opened like pop-up shop. I opened a two summer stores because in Montreal in the winter it's like the worst. You don't sell anything because people just stay inside. So during
Yeah.
the summer, I just opened stores. People would just come in, buy stuff. It was really a nice experience. Really, just it created the entrepreneurial spirit that I can make money uh, without counting my hours, which is very nice. And
Yeah.
it just pushed me to just make money online, make money out of the traditional way.
Okay. And were those shops, were they actual like retail stores or were they just pop-up shops?
So they were like normal stores, like
Okay.
on the streets.
Yeah.
It was just for the lease was just for the summer. So we were
Okay.
just leasing for the summer, doing it was kind of a pop-up shop or a long one,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was very nice. Yeah.
And what was that process like of like, how old were you at this time that you were signing this lease, doing that, selling it? Because I assume you must have had some staff and stuff like that at that point as well.
So I was 19 the first
Mm.
one and 21 the second one. So I
Okay.
just yeah, it was just the first one was with one of my friends, and the
Yeah.
second one we did like a bunch of entrepreneur together sell shoes in the same store.
Okay.
We didn't have any staff. It was just
Yeah.
us working here, kind of not counting hours, but just coming in the store, being the
Yeah.
sales guy. But yeah,
And what was it that you think, what did you learn from that, which you think you've now been able to apply to growing, creating a big app and doing an AI business?
that you don't have to count your hours and just focus on uh, pushing yourself. So getting the skills of like really understanding a market
Yeah.
and giving to the people that want something, giving it at the best price possible, and just focusing on acquisition of people and selling to them, buying
Yeah.
for low, selling for high, supply and
Mm.
demand, understanding the market as well, because the shoe market really just died like a year and a half ago, just
Okay.
completely died. So I got out just before it died, so that was a nice exit. But
Hmm.
really understanding supply and demand, what people are looking for, selling what they're looking for, um, and just like having that mindset of okay, I can make money without working, without counting my hours. And that really pushed me to like when I started coding to just, okay, let me just code, not count my hours, learn how to code, learn the skill, how to market, how to put your apps out there, and just like having that skill of
Mm.
let me focus on something until it works. That's really just the entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah. So you do these pop-up shops and then you went to university. So what was the kind of process and decision making behind that from going, being 19, 21, being fairly successful and doing these pop-up shops and working, having your own stores, to then going to something that actually is slightly more conventional? Was there kind of reasoning behind that? Why did that, how did that end up happening?
Yeah, so my parents really wanted me to go there, like so that the normal way of like you go to school and you go to university and you get a job and stuff. So I was like, okay, let me try, let me do it. And then the first year, I really didn't enjoy it. I felt like it was slow. And usually in business, it's really quick. You do stuff, you improve, you do. But school is just slow. It just makes it. And I didn't feel like connected to the school, connected to what they were teaching. And I
Yeah.
felt like a void in me going to school. So I was really hurt going to school. I was like, I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I just like takes time and they're not teaching me the right things. And I really felt like alone and I felt like the business was going down because I used to go to school. So it really just pushed me to like stop school and just focus on myself, focus on businesses, focus on learning skills by myself. And it
Yeah.
really helped to drop out. Yeah.
Mm. And for those people who are watching who are maybe in a similar position, so they want to start a business, they've already got something going, but they are being pushed down a certain path by their parents, friends or family, girlfriend, whoever it is. Um, Having been through that situation, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say to really just push yourself in like the unknown. So like you have to have a bank account, let's say that have money because you need to live, but you need to really just step into the I'm going all in on my business and really just uh, go at it until it works. And I'm 100% sure that if you're at home, you have a business and you're still working a job, go all in on your business and it will work 100%. You really just need to focus on it every day, putting in the hours, putting in the effort, learning new skills, new way of doing your business, and it will 100% work. It's really just if your mind is pushed into the unknown, like the stress of like, is it gonna work? Then your mind kind of quick, and then you go in, it works. It's just really
Mm.
just pushing yourself.
Yeah. No, it's that stepping out of your comfort zone, and when you have no other option but failure, Um, I think that can make a very, very big difference to the success or the speed of how successful your business could be.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're at that time in university, so you're feeling incredibly lonely, you're not enjoying it, what would you say you learned from that as a human being and being self-aware?
I learned that it's But I mean, for me, it's easier to learn by myself than someone come and says you need to learn this. And I found as well that every answer is on the internet. So whatever they're teaching you in schools, you can learn by yourself on the internet. Just look it up, you'll find the answer. So I found that they don't really teach you something concrete, that you can really just come understand yourself using AI, using just Google, find your answer by yourself. And this skill is more helpful than waiting for someone to give you an answer. I think that's the best thing that happened for me in school.
Yeah. So then you left school and you basically have this desire to start a business or, build a new business. But you didn't go back into shoes. You then went into AI. And what was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so when I was in my last couple of months in school, so ChatGPT just dropped, and I was doing software engineer, so I was coding stuff. But then the AI, you could ask, anything about code, and he would give you the code, which was for me like insanely crazy because what I was learning is simply like outdated because you can just ask an AI. So I was
Yeah.
really like, why am I learning like small stuff when you can just ask an AI, it creates the code, and you get it. So with this, I was like, okay, let me just try and do the software engineer job in a way, but without the the certificate, without having the school teaching me. So I
Yeah.
just like went out and build. The first app I built was for my sneaker business. So it was like a inventory management for my sneaker business, which is very
Yeah.
nice. But it learned me like from A to Z how to create an app, how to build it, how to push it to marketing and everything. So really just pushed me to like, okay, I can do stuff by myself without people teaching me anything. And it really pushed me to like, okay, I have the skills now. I can work for people. I can create apps. I can make money online, which really pushed me to go all in.
No, I think that's a really good point. So when you're, except, walk us through the kind of process for, me, myself, and other people who have no idea what it's like to build an app, then launch it to market to begin with. Like, what's that process for you?
Yeah, so first you need like have your idea. So you just kind of think a lot, then you create your idea, and then you just go into design. So you create like wireframes, so like what pages a user will come to, and then just kind of wireframe them, and then you design them with better design, so like putting colors and stuff, and then you go to code it. So to code it, I what I use is Flutterflow, which is just like a low code builder, and then you just copy the same design, and then after the front end is done, you just go in and connect every button, connect every backend, connect your server to it, and test it a lot. And once it's tested, once you're good with it, you then just release, you start marketing, usually on TikTok, Instagram, social media, and then you just go every day posting stuff and then increasing, putting updates here and there. And that's kind of the A to Z, how to push an app on the App Store.
Interesting. So are you doing this all by yourself throughout this whole process of going from, ideation to coding to market to launch? You're doing that whole process.
Yeah, so at first I really didn't have any help, so I was just wanted to learn every aspect of it. So I was really just kind of how to create a wireframe, how to do design, and how to code, what's the best way to code, how do you do security, how do you handle the back end, and just like every step. So I just started learning all the steps without being expert in any of them, but just
Yeah.
like understanding steps A to Z. And then after that, I kind of focused on, okay, I love coding. I don't really like designing. So I'm better at coding. So then I worked for clients that already had designer. And then I
Yeah.
just focused on, okay, I'm really good at coding. Let's push on that skill and make it the best.
Okay. So then you almost created an agency, if you want to call it that, that you basically were creating and developing apps for clients. Um, for a lot of people who are, going into building their first service-based business, how did you go about getting your first client?
Yeah, so at first, because I was working on my own apps. I really
Yeah.
never thought about working for people because I wanted to make money, online and selling something. But then I had like a portfolio of mobile apps that I created. So I just made like a website with all the apps I had, and then I just went on Upwork and just created an account and then just applied to jobs. And then I got no response from the jobs I applied, but from people that were looking for um, Flutter Flow expert, they just started contacting me, and I just started working for them. On Upwork, I know it's a bit weird, but on Upwork, there's not many white guys. So when you're a white guy, you kind of get the higher end clients because they're ready to pay for more. So I just put a high salary, and people just started DMing me, said, I want you to work for that. So I just said yes and got some clients here and there. And I was working with like an agency, and then I was working with for a company, just
Yeah.
working like as a freelancer, let's say, for a bunch of
Okay.
company at the same time. And
Yeah.
I just was coding like 40, 50 hours a week, just billing hours and making a bunch of money as well.
Yeah. So you essentially you kind of went down the solopreneur route of being a freelancer, but making yourself really highly paid, essentially. Um, what was that kind of process like? Like, one, selling yourself to these companies and these people. Two, like, how much were you able to kind of generate in that process? Um, and if you were to start it again, would you do anything differently?
I think it was really helpful to work for these companies, work as
Mm.
like a freelancer, because at first, like it took me like when I dropped off, it took me like 3 months to get a client,
Yeah.
which I didn't have the experience really. I didn't have any certificate. I didn't have really the actual experience to work for them, but I just kind of faked it. I just said, yes, I can do it. And then when the contract started, I was like, okay, they're believing in me. So I just kind of went all in and it kind of worked. So the app that I did, it worked for them. And then in the summer, I did Time Left, which Time Left is like a huge app at the moment. I did the MVP. So it was like extremely nice to have to work for a client which has a bunch of users, which was doing marketing. So this really, I kind of took their skills, took their understanding, and adding it to myself. So then when I started doing my own apps, I knew how to do it from A to Z, but in a better way, and it
Yeah.
really helped me. So if you're a coder, I would really push yourself to work for a company that has the understanding that they can teach you as well. It's way better than school because you're doing it yourself and you have to learn by yourself, but you get to understand the actual procedure, how a company works with a coder. It was really, really helpful for me.
Okay. Yeah. So, just for those who don't know, explain what MVP is and how that works in the app creation space.
Yeah, so MVP is like your first product that you go to launch with.
Yeah.
So it's like your minimal viable product. So it's really just like the simple product you can push to users so they can start using it. So you can see like you can get feedback, you can understand what the user want. So it's really like the first product you launch. So it's
Yeah.
really really useful to have your MVP as quick as possible and to push it to understand the user's feedback. And yeah, so MVP is really just the first product you launch to users, and how like will you make money out of it is the MVP phase. If you're not making any money in your MVP phase, it means that your product is not good. People will not buy it.
Yeah.
So I used to just work on MVP for clients. And then once the product was like on a high level or getting a bunch of users, then they were hiring an actual real um, software engineering team because I was coding alone for them. So I was doing everything from A to Z for the mobile apps. So
Yeah.
when the app kind of blow up, then they go and they hire a real team because I cannot handle like a real app from A to Z alone, which
Yeah.
is understandable.
Yeah. Um, so I have two questions. There's one thing I wanted to touch on because you made a really good point that I think a lot of people miss. And it was one thing that was super important for me in my journey was I, not in a freelance way, but I worked at Amazon for 2.5, 3 years as a product manager, in the kind of corporate sector. And I think one of the things that you said about actually working for a big company that where they can they it's a symbiotic relationship. You're being paid, but they're also teaching you a lot of things. And I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, they immediately want to go to starting their own business. They immediately want to do things, but they don't necessarily have the actual knowledge or skills of working in a business, understanding the company, actually understanding how it works. And I just think that's a super important point I wanted to highlight because you can't if you don't have any skills because you've not learned any skills because like you say like you can't code or you're getting a higher level of skills from working at that company that's still beneficial to your entrepreneurial journey later down the line. So I think that's a super important point that I just wanted to bring up and touch on. um, and then one thing that I'm sure most people will be thinking is like, so when you're launching these apps, for the first one that you did, Timescale, the one that really blew up, where is it that these apps are making their money?
Yeah, so for time left, usually whether all apps on the App Store that makes money, it's usually subscription based. So what they're
Yeah,
doing is like they just sell, you get into the app, you do the onboarding, and then you get hit with like a paywall that says to use the app, you have to pay X number of dollars per week or per month, and
yeah,
that's how they make money. And then for time left, it was so time left is like you register, you pay per month, and then you get a dinner every week with strangers. You go there, you eat with strangers. It's very nice. And then they just now I think they're at around 15 millions a year, which is crazy. And they just really just scale. Once the MVP is done, what they had to
yeah,
do is marketing. So once your app is kind of it is working, you just
yeah.
focus on marketing like full on,
Crazy. Yeah,
and that's how you make money because marketing is distribution. Then people get on the app, they pay, they use the app. That's how you make money.
yeah. Um, and when you're launching stuff on the App Store, what's that process like? Because I know that Apple take about 30%. So how does that work for, we'll slowly get into your own app and how you've built that. But how does that affect you as like a product team?
Yeah, so Apple takes 30%, but for your first $1 million, they take 15%.
Okay.
So for us, it's kind of the way you do it, just you put your price that you want, you just add 15 or 30%, and that's what you charge to users.
Yeah.
Um, and then Apple, yeah, they really like when you make money. So they like they make money when you make money. So they kind
Yeah.
of when you start making a good money, they push you up in the App Store. They like kind of
Yeah.
want you to make more money.
Yeah.
And Google Play as well, same thing. Like they take 15% for your first million and then 30% afterwards, which is
Yeah.
a lot. But again, you wouldn't make money if they would not accept you. So
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Like I'm in the Airbnb business, and Airbnb take 15 to 18%. And as much as that's annoying, I would not have any of the customers that I do without Airbnb, right? So you kind of have to pay the way, and obviously 15% compared to 30 is a big difference. And I know it's the same with Amazon FBA; they take about 30% as well. Um, so when you built up your agency, what was that process like from going like one to be freelancing to kind of building an agency with clients? How did you build it up and scale it? And what point did you scale it to?
yeah, so at first I was really intrigued when like the clients really wanted me to work for them. So I just started work for them, and then I had my full week kind of just um, free because I really pushed away any distraction. I was just really focused on work. So I was really like time blocking time for my clients, and then I found that I have a bunch of time. So I just contacted a bunch of people on Upwork, on LinkedIn that were looking for MVPs, and I just started working for them. So at one point I was maybe working 60 hours a week just for clients,
Yeah,
learning from every company I was working for.
yeah,
And I did that for maybe a year and a half. I was
yeah,
really just pushing myself to make money, yes, the employee route, but as a goal to learn. And then at one point, I really just scaled down. So I only had one client. So I was working maybe 20 hours a week. So I had
yeah,
the rest of the whole week to just focus on myself, what apps do I want to do, and I really
yeah,
just focus on that. So the freelancer agency was not really about money, was really more about learning how to be more efficient, be the
Mm.
best at what I do. Yeah.
Okay. And for, because I think some people will wanting to know is like, if you don't mind sharing, how much are you kind of making in that freelance agency process when you're making that money and doing all that learning at the same time?
Yeah, so for the first year, I maybe made uh, 60 to 70K.
Yeah.
And then the second year, I was making 100K and more.
Yeah.
So like for the first, it was kind of incredible for me because here in Montreal and Quebec, to have this high salary job, you need like a certificate, you need a lot of experience, you need to go up the ladder to get that
Yeah.
salary. And then I didn't have any real experience in a way. I was just like kind of new to that, which was incredible for me to make that much money
Mm.
as a young age, but as well without much experience. And it really teach me that you can do whatever you want. You can learn anything and make money online
Yeah.
without anyone telling you what to do.
So at that age, at that time, how old are you? And how did coming into contact with that much money at that age impact you?
Yeah, I was maybe 21, 22, or
Yeah.
21, yeah. And um, I have like I'm really good with money. So I always understood money at a young age. I really understood that if you want to be rich, you don't have expenses, so you really just save it all. You invest it and you save it. So at a really young age, it was like the money didn't really affect me because I never really went out and bought stupid stuff or just bought stuff for the fun of it. I would just saved it. So I was
Mm.
just pushing it to my saving account, invest it, and money just kind of compound.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point where I'm just good with money. I understand my own accounting. I do my own accounting. I understand money, every transaction. I understand everything about money, which is very useful. So I would say when money comes, don't be too happy. Just save it, and more will come if you do. And if you focus on spending it, you will just lose it all. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So as a person, a lot of people have different kind of attachment styles with money. So like a lot of people are very risk averse, or a lot of people take massive risk with their money, or spend a lot, or save a lot. What would you say your attachment style with money is?
Yeah, I love to save it. I really don't like spending it. It's a weird habit, but like when I spend money, it really hurts me, even though I have it. It really hurts. So I really had that mindset of like, let's spend the least amount possible and save it the most. And when I save it, I just put it on stocks. So I just bought stocks here and there, and then it just compounds, goes up, and I just make more money out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like you can live with not much money. Like you pay your rent, you pay your food, activities here and there, but you don't need like expensive clothing, you don't need expensive stuff. You'll, for me, it's really just, focusing on saving it, no, and focusing on getting money from people and save it. That's kind of
Yeah.
it.
No, I think that's a really interesting thing. So you've never been much of a spender, and you're just basically taking every penny you earn and then just investing it back into the market of different ways. Um, and I think I don't know how you feel about it, but my experience of that is a lot of the money or any money that I get into my personal bank account, I just put straight into investments, and it kind of helps me. It helps me feel like because when I look at my bank account, there's not a lot in there. So it helps me feel that I've never. It never helps you makes you feel like you have abundance. It never makes you feel like you have lots of money. If you are looking at your bank account and you have £50,000, let's say, or £100,000 or whatever the number is, you're going to feel like, oh well, I've got money. I've not really got much to worry about. But if you're constantly reinvesting it and that actual bank balance that you spend money from on a weekly, monthly basis is very low, you're always going to be determined, I think, to work harder because you feel like you've got to push that back up again.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, like I created a software as well to kind of do my accounting, my personal financial accounting.
Yeah.
It's really helpful to see like, okay, these are like stupid expenses. So like I stop them and I try to like follow a budget as well. Even though I have the money, I really just, the goal is to save it as much. So then after after a moment, I'll be good to just not work, I guess, and be happy.
But do you think that you will ever stop working?
I don't think so, no. I don't think when you have a business, like it's not a job, it's a business. You have to run it. You have to do. There's always tasks to do.
Yeah.
So maybe when I'm very old, but as long as I have businesses, I will always work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an interesting thing of like a lot of people, they start the entrepreneurial journey to leave their 9 to 5, and then they end up probably working more hours than a 9 to 5, um, and you can never really leave your business unless you just shut it down. Um, but it's that joy of building things and constantly going, I think, keeps you going, I guess.
Yeah, the journey is better than the money you get.
Yeah, absolutely. So then your next step and the next thing you do is you decide that you want to start building your own apps. And taking all that freelance knowledge you've had, all the agency work that you've done, and actually start building it for yourself. Um, so where did you start in that?
Yeah, so I was always like kind of ideating on ideas here and there. And then a guy just texted me from Montreal and on LinkedIn. He texted me about an app idea he had and wanted to partner. So I just said yes. So I partnered with him. It was like a social media for university students, which we built from A to Z. We started marketing, but we just saw that like no one cared. But it was just like learning about like, okay, this is my first kind of real app that I was building for people. It didn't work, but I learned from it. And then what we learn is that you need to start marketing before you do the app because you need to test if people actually want it before you actually build it because building it takes time. So after that, we build it for like maybe 4 or 5 months. And then after we're like, okay, it won't work. What do we do? And then so we just started looking into what's the biggest niche, let's say on social media. And we focus on TikTok. So on TikTok, the biggest niche is usually beauty for women. So the beauty niche, the makeup niche is a huge market. So what we did is we just created an account which was only for women, and then we kind of faked a woman persona. So we were like faking a woman, looking at what the woman would see on their For You page about makeup, and then looking in the comments to see what are users wanting from these makeup videos. It was
Yeah.
usually like, oh, how do I achieve this look? Oh, what's the product you're using? And then with that, we created Glam AI, which was just you upload your face, you upload the makeup look you want to recreate, and it gives you the products, how to put it on your face, and then the image of you with that makeup as well. So we just launched that in October 2024, and
Yeah.
it really just blew up instantly on TikTok. Like videos just went viral. So then a bunch of users went to the app, and then we just started making money instantly.
Okay. So when you're doing that marketing process, you're more doing market research. You're not actually actively trying to market the product yet. You're just trying to understand potentially what market you're going after. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's really TikTok is we use for market research. So we're just looking at like comments, seeing what videos works. So then we started posting TikToks kind of about the app, but understanding what the user wanted, and it just kind of blew up instantly. And then we just created the app.
It's before you've launched the app.
Yeah,
You start posting TikToks about it.
yeah, to see like if the market would want that. So it did work. So like in the next 2 weeks, we just kind of I just coded the app and then made the app live. And then the second it was live, so many users were downloading it, so many people were paying for it. So we just started making a bunch of money. And then it was just like, okay, I have an app now that just makes money by itself. And it was just amazing. And then I doubled down on it and just focused on it, making it better, increasing revenue, increasing marketing, and just focusing on it.
Okay. So I think what people would be interested to know is how did you go about doing that marketing? So if you say you were kind of posting, trying to test the market, see if they wanted it, how did you go about doing that for the app before it had launched? And also the fact that you're not a woman doing beauty or makeup or anything like that.
Yeah, so by focusing on like what female loves on TikTok, so like having a For You page that is just only about makeup, you kind of start to understand what video goes viral and what women wants to look at. So we started creating a fake TikTok account of like a fake woman and just posting TikToks about makeup and then about the app as well. That like, okay, there's just like a carousel of images, like a before, after, and then list of products, and just posting that to see like, will people like it? Will people be interested in it? And we found out that a bunch of people were just commenting, "Oh, what's the app? I need that." So we're like, okay, there's a demand. Let's just
Right.
focus on the demand and give the supply.
Okay. So you were doing almost like faceless TikTok account and
Yeah.
marketing it that way, kind of portraying yourself as a woman or whatever you want to call it. Um, and then that's how you were testing to see whether the market actually wanted to take the app on.
Yeah, 100%. Like
Okay.
I really don't care about makeup. Like I'm a guy, so
Yeah.
I don't care. So it's just like making money and finding the best niche, the best product you can deliver to users. Yeah.
So how did you go from social media, so university social media app to makeup? How do you make that jump? How did you do that?
Well, we're just looking for an app to make money out of. So we were
Yeah.
like, okay, this social media thing doesn't work. Why? Well, because it's marketing, and then people already have Facebook, they already have social media, so there's no use for a social media. So we didn't really look at market research before building it, which is really
Yeah.
wrong. So then
Yeah.
when we focused on, okay, let's create a new app, then let's focus on what do user need. So what's the problem that they're having, and then just solve it. So like the TikTok marketing research was really helpful for us to understand the user because like as me, I don't use the product. I'm a man, so like it's very difficult to build a product that you don't understand. So
Yeah.
having that user feedback, having the user just explaining the problems in the comment section was very helpful for us to create the product they want.
Yeah. So how long were you in that ideation phase and that market research phase?
I would say maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. It really just went very quickly, just like looking at comments, and then we just started posting maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after market research, and videos started blowing up. So we're like, okay, let's really just focus on the product now. So I just focus on the product, making it simple as possible, just building an MVP, adding subscription as well. And then once the app was live, it blew up instantly. I think
Mm.
like on the first week we went to in Canada top four like in the free apps, number four,
Yeah.
which was crazy for us. And then just money
Yeah.
started flowing in, and we're like, okay, let's focus on this one and just ideate, make it better,
Mm.
more marketing, and yeah.
So how are you in that marketing phase then? So the app's launched. It's clearly a success. You've bringing in clients, more customers. Um, how do you push in that marketing phase? Obviously, you've done a lot of your background is in coding. So how do you go, right, okay, now I'm going to become a marketer and make sure I push this app to grow and expand?
Yeah, so I have a co-founder, which
Yeah.
was mostly doing marketing.
Okay.
So I was working with him at the beginning on marketing, what we can do, and then
Yeah.
he was just when it kind of went viral, we kind of separated our work. So I was kind of mostly on coding, was mostly
Right.
on marketing. So it
Okay.
was only doing faceless. So it was just
Yeah.
like doing formats that would go viral, and then once we found a format that would kind of go viral every time we posted it, we just focused on it, doubled it down, and just posted
Right.
on like multiple accounts at the same time and
Right.
multiple times a day. And it just started blowing up like here, like millions of views, millions of views. It was just, it's organic. TikTok is completely free. So like if you have an app or any services that you want to sell, TikTok is just free. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of your cheat code in a way of scaling so quickly. And then you're working on the background to actually essentially improve the app to make sure that the user experience is good.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, so in that business, when did you launch? Did you say was it October?
Yeah, end of October, yeah.
End of October 2024, and we're now in end of May 2025. So, is there still only two of you in the team, just you and your co-founder?
Yeah, we hired like VAs to just post content for us, like
Right.
just systemize
Yeah.
it. But yeah, we're just two owners of the company.
Okay. And you've grown that from zero to what now in the space of 7, 8 months?
Yeah, in 7 months we did 650K.
And that's
So
revenue.
yeah, that's sales. But what's nice with like a mobile app is that your cost is like
Yeah, your profit
five
margins would be
five to
insane.
10%. Yeah, so it's
So
really
what
really nice.
is that 650 sales after Apple's commission or 650 sales total?
Yeah, you take off 15% of Apple,
Right.
and then it's in US as well. So like here in Canada, it's very nice to sell in USD because you get 1.3 like times 1.3, which
Yeah.
is way more. And then you take off like 5 to 10% for server costs and for just expenses,
Yeah.
and then the rest is just
You're
profit.
running at like a 75%, 70% profit margin, which is
Yeah.
not, I would say in most businesses, they would be very, very happy with that. And it's extremely scalable. So that's currently, that's kind of the story of you and where you're at today. What are you currently doing with the app to essentially try and make it grow even more?
Yeah, so we really focused on organic TikTok until like a month ago.
Yeah.
And now we're really looking into influencer marketing. So hiring influencer to post about the app, hiring creators to just create a new account and post for us, and doing paid ads. So these
Mm,
three are just like really our focus at the moment because the app is in a good state. So we will
yeah.
improve it, but we're really more focusing on how to scale it. And you scale it more with marketing than with the product.
Yeah.
So really just focusing on doubling down on marketing, new strategies, and just focusing on it.
Okay. So if you're more the code side than the marketing side, are you having to learn and shift your skills to the marketing side, or is there something that's like next for Louis?
Yeah, so I've learned a lot in marketing since like we launched and stuff, and
Mm,
now I'm helping my co-founder as well on
yeah.
marketing. So we really just how to get influencer, how to do the contract, what do they need to post, how to do paid ads, how to connect the data, and then I'm just focusing. I'm doing kind of mostly everything, doing marketing, doing coding, doing financial, doing kind of everything. When you have a business, you need to do everything. In a way, you
Yeah.
need to learn anything. You cannot be like, oh, I don't know that, let me not do it. You need to go and learn. So really, I've learned kind of all the aspect of the app space,
Mm.
and yeah.
Okay. And what's the next move? Are you completely solely focused on growing this app? Do you want to go launch a new one in the future? Where's the thought process and the plan there?
Yeah, so I love to see apps like these, like Glam AI. I love to see it as assets. So like, let's say like a house that you rent, it's an
Yeah.
asset that makes you money without you doing much. So my
Yeah.
goal with Glam AI is the same. So to get it to a space where I don't put that much time on it, but it still makes a bunch of money without me doing anything. That's
Yeah.
kind of the goal. And then at the same time, find new project which has more of a purpose to it because makeup, I don't care about makeup. So I
Yeah.
want like an app that really have a purpose that's connected to me that I can just really focus on and make more money as well.
Okay. No, I think that's really, really interesting. Have you got any ideas where that's going to be, or is that you don't want to tell anyone yet?
I mean, I don't have any idea by myself, but I started working with Art of Mondays. So I'm
Yeah.
doing their Founder Sports Club app, which
Yeah.
is, I'm very excited about it. And I hope to, like, I have a more, it's more purpose driven than the makeup
Yeah.
app. So I really like this one. But I'm sure
Mm.
in the future I'll have a bunch of new apps idea that will come and I'll
Yeah.
focus on it, building it.
Okay. Well, Louis, thank you so much. That's been super, super interested. I'm super interested in your business, and hopefully that sheds some light on it. To close off, one thing that I like to ask for everyone is if you could summarize your journey in 60 seconds and give that to give that as a package of advice to someone just starting out, what would you say?
I would say to really understand what you like to do and really focus on it when you find something that you like to do, that you love doing it, that it's not work for you because you enjoy doing it, that focus on this, really focus, and try to make money out of it, sell it to people that needs it, do something that you love, but that people will pay for it. And this will make you way more money than going to university, doing a job that you don't like just for the money, just for the sake of it. Really focus on what you love to do and just go at it until you make it work.
Okay. Thank you so much, Louis, for coming on.
Thank you.